done.
Hey there, welcome back. I'm glad you're here at Seaver Shoots, back with another video. Today, we're talking about a very essential piece of gear for anybody who wants to carry a gun on them regularly, and that is a belt. It is also useful for other things as well. We'll get into that in a second. First, I wanted to talk to you about you. In 2021, your guys' support was freaking fantastic. We hit 1,000 subscribers, and then very quickly after that, launched past 1,100, and now we are well on our way to 1,200. I want to keep quality content coming at you guys consistently. In order to do that at this point, I'm gonna need a little bit of help. I'm going to do it no matter what, no matter how much help I get. I'm still gonna do my reviews. It might just take me a little bit longer, and I'd like to get these things out to you a little bit quicker. If you really enjoy my channel, consider going down to the description and clicking the link to my new Patreon that I've just set up. Value-wise, probably best to just set up for the $1 a month subscription. If even half of you guys did that, that would really speed up the process on some of the projects that I'm working on getting here on the channel in front of you guys. Again, no pressure. As long as you're here, I'm really excited to have you and I appreciate your support. But if you feel like supporting the channel even further, consider heading over to that Patreon and I would really appreciate it. I'm gonna make it worth your guys' while, especially if we really start to see a lot of support coming in through there. Without further ado, let's get into the belts that I wanna talk about today. I have two, technically three, but really two belts. One's a duty setup that is an inner-outer belt system, and the other one is just a normal everyday carry belt. They are both from Blue Alpha Gear. I absolutely love them. The research that I did before I bought these belts showed me that they had the most support, that they were the most consistent, and I have really experienced that consistency as I've used these over the past year and a half, 2 years or so. So let's talk about belts just a little bit, because I think every single one of us goes through a little bit of a journey when it comes to our everyday carry. My journey specifically, it may resonate with your journey, but in high school and at the beginning of college, I really loved to be comfortable. I wanted to wear sweatpants everywhere I went. Even if I wore pants with belt loops, I didn't like wearing a belt because I found it uncomfortable. So I wouldn't wear a belt most of the time. I had belts, but they hardly got used. If I was going to church, then I'd throw a belt on because that looked nice. Eventually though, once I got into guns, I, like many people, thought to myself, I don't need to get a belt. I can find a way to carry this thing safely without a belt. I'm gonna tell you right now, that's just not true. You're not going to carry a gun on your immediate body. If you're gonna off-body carry in a backpack or something, sure, you don't need a belt. If you're gonna carry on your person, you need a belt or a pair of pants built by a concealed carry-minded company that has support in them to specifically carry a gun. There are items out there like that. But belts are important. Do not shy away from the belts. I've had plenty of friends who I've helped in their gun / everyday carry / concealed carry journey move their way from, no, I don't want a belt, to, hey, what belt do you run? And hey, now I'm running the same belt and we are all safe and concealed carrying really well. So let's start with my everyday carry belt. I am wearing it with my giant gun in my McKinnon holster. This is a full-sized P320. At this point, it was an X-Carry, but with the Parker Mountain Machine comp on there, which looks gorgeous. This is a big, long, meaty boy, and I'm not a humongous dude. I'm like 5'7" on a tall day. But this belt holds this gun flawlessly. Holds it up nice and high to my body. Holds it comfortably as well. I don't feel like I'm being squeezed on the hips or anything. And I'll show you why that is in just a little bit. But here's the setup. You'll notice I've got the buckle over here to the left, and I'll talk a little bit about why that is. The number one reason is my belt loops don't give me a whole lot of real estate, and I want to be able to move this gun back and forth from there to there anytime I need to adjust for comfort or whatever reason. So I run that buckle over here to the left. I'll turn to the side just to show you how well the belt and the holster are working in tandem to suck that gun into me. This holster has a claw on it, as every holster should, and that claw makes good positive contact with the belt, and the belt sucks the butt of the gun, which is the hardest part to conceal, into my body. I've got nice, good, straight lines, especially when I throw my hoodie over, considering my very barrel-shaped torso, and I don't have any issues comfortably and convincingly concealing this humongous firearm. I could go like this all day. I could drive in the car. I could sit in classes, even though I'm not in college anymore. I could sit in church and not have any problems with this humongous gun because I have the right belt and I have the right holster. So let's talk about the features of the belt that make it capable of doing things like this. So now that the belt is off, hold it up towards you, and you'll notice it does sag just a little bit. But this is kind of the genius of this belt. It sags because it is a little bit soft, and that makes it comfortable, but it is rigid enough that it holds itself up. So when you combine this with your belt loops and your waist, it creates a very sturdy platform for you to build off of. There are a couple very important features that you want in an everyday carry belt. Number one, in my opinion, is rigidity. That is going to translate to concealability and consistency. I didn't talk about this when I had it on, and I wish that I did, but when you go to draw your firearm, you want your belt to stay more or less in the same position. This one will shift up maybe an inch and then down when I reholster maybe an inch. But other than that, it is dang consistent, and I don't have to worry about this making major movements up and down my body as I'm pulling the gun off of me and putting it back away. The next thing that I want to talk about is adjustability. So you will notice this little tail of Velcro right here. So there's a whole bunch of hook on this side, a whole bunch of loop on this side. You'll notice there's a lot of room for adjustment there, and you just adjust it by pushing some length out of the male end of the buckle here and then making your adjustments left to right. You'll notice that I've got a little extra. Well, normally when I first got this belt especially, I was running a little extra over here. So this belt was actually way tighter. I am usually a size 32-ish. That's what this belt size is, but I fluctuate pretty consistently between 30 and 36, depending on the time of the year. It is bulking season, so I am a little bit more on the 36 end of the spectrum. The other thing that I really like is the ability to quickly release this belt with the Cobra system. I'm actually running it upside down. You'll notice if I open it up, their logo is upside down. Again, that is because I like to run this to the left side, and depending on your belt loops, this buckle system may or may not be able to go under all of your belt loops. For me, only the female end can go under all of my belt loops. It's skinny enough. The male end is a little bit fatter, and I can't get it to do that. So I lead with this end around my waist, and then it comes out this loop on the left here, and I buckle it over to the left, like I said, to give myself the ability to move my gun across my belt pretty easily. So those are the features that make this a really effective and comfortable, fantastic concealed carry belt. All right, now let's get into the duty belt setup, even though I'm never on duty because I am a civilian, like most of you probably are, but it would be a really good setup for just about anybody. I really like this for the range specifically. Say you want to go out to the range and you don't want to work on concealed, drawing from concealed, defeating garment or anything like that, because you work on that in dry fire plenty. You just want to work on fundamentals of your presentation and your trigger press and get some live fire reps in that way. That is what you should be looking at a practical use for your duty belt. You're not going to throw this in the back of your car and then strap it on when crap hits the fan. It's better to go concealed when something like that happens, at least in my opinion. Maybe I'll get into that a little bit more later. For the outer belt purists, this is an inner belt, outer belt setup, and I think that is very much the reason why this is such a great and consistent setup. So let's tear it apart to begin with, and we will talk about the inner belt and then the outer belt. So here is the inner belt. If you could not afford to get the duty belt setup and the concealed belt setup, I would recommend just get the duty setup, because you could use this inner belt as your everyday carry belt. It is very rigid, just like the everyday carry belt. The only issue is it's not as easy to get off just because it doesn't have that Cobra buckle. But if you needed to get your pants down quickly, you could very easily unstrap this side, loosen it to the point where you could then drop your pants for whatever emergency you are dealing with. So this would not be a bad idea for your concealed carry belt. This is how you adjust it. You go through your loop, you pull it around, and then the hook side goes on to the loop side. You've got tons of loop Velcro all the way around so that you can hook that outer belt onto it with that Velcro, and that's what holds the system together. Really simple. As far as the inner belt goes, let's get into the outer belt. All right, the outer belt is not much more complicated. It just has some more features. So obviously, whole bunch of hook Velcro on the inside. We have our Cobra buckle set up again, which I really love. And then they give you a copious amount of extra length so that you can have that maximum adjustability like I talked about with the other two belts as well. So easy in, easy out. You could flip it upside down if you wanted to. You'll notice this guy sliding back and forth pretty freely, and at this point I could move my holster around too. I don't really want to. I like where it's at. I like the ability for that to happen so that I can adjust things pretty quickly on the fly, but this is why that inner belt is important, because it will keep this guy from moving. Now, the other thing that you can do in order to keep stuff from moving is you can use all of the MOLLE that they provide you around the entirety of the outside. So if you have MOLLE hook systems that you like to use for your belt setups, then this belt is perfect for you. You'll be able to hook everything to it. So let's go ahead and throw this guy on to show you how it sits. I've got that inner belt on there, went on nice and easy. Now I'll throw the outer belt on. It takes a little practice and some work lining things up, but after you do it enough times, it becomes pretty simple and it's not super hard to figure out how to line things up correctly. No issues here. Throw our gun in there and you'll see that things are very balanced. Now, here is the argument for the pure outer belt crew, so no inner belt. There are belt systems out there, obviously, some of you will know this because you have them, that are just outer belts, and you just throw them on over your clothes, and they've got big pads, and they provide lots of space so that they can create friction so that they're not moving a whole lot. I've seen those fail a lot, but here's the argument. You can easily throw those on over your clothes very quickly and take them off very quickly. And while that is nice, I don't see the viability for why that is important. So the argument that I've heard from multiple people goes like this. I can keep my war belt in the backseat of my car, and when crap hits the fan, I can throw it on quickly and respond. Are you not carrying concealed? If you are carrying concealed, do you not have a way to hold your weapon so that you can go and respond to the threat? You can carry concealed an extra magazine as well. So I don't find the advantages. I think that throwing on your war belt setup in that environment would actually be a disadvantage. I can go out of, out into the environment concealed, and I can evaluate and then decide if I want to bring that weapon on. And then I can also put it away and hide it very easily so that it's concealed and people don't know that I have it. I feel like being concealed is a way bigger advantage. So why would I need to be able to quickly throw on a war belt setup? Again, in my opinion, the most viable use of this is going to be if you are in law enforcement. That would be a great reason to have a belt like this. But then range practice. Like I said, if I do enough work at home in defeating concealment and presenting, then I don't need to do that out on the range with live fire. I could just work on my presentation and my fire out on the range, and this belt setup really makes it easy for me to do that. But I want to show you, not a big deal to have my hoodie out over the belt, right? Not causing me any problems. Let's go ahead and drop this mag out and do a quick little mag change drill. No issues, didn't get hung up on my hood. Maybe reholstering be a little bit more difficult, but for the most part, this is not a problem. And I do this just about every weekend with this setup and don't have issues. So another thing that you could do is you could just tuck your outerwear into your pants. I see people do that all the time as well. So I really don't see the advantage of the outer belt. It doesn't provide me with anything that's desirable in order to get me to switch over. And I'll show you really quickly, I can actually take this setup and make it an outer belt setup. So if I want to work on drawing from this setup at home, I will just do this. I will put the system together. So the inner belt is inside the outer belt. and I'll just throw it on my waist, and I'll wiggle it down so it's in the valley of my hips. And now I don't have any issues, honestly, with it riding up. I've seen outer belt systems out on the range where a person goes to draw, and maybe it's because that outer belt wasn't set up correctly, they didn't have it tight enough or whatever. Well, they go to draw and they end up riding that belt all the way up their hip. Now they've got to grab with their offhand down here in order to get to that gun and pull it out, and that just messes up their whole draw and the whole drill, and it seems really inconsistent and stupid to me. Now, I am blessed with a lot of cake back here and a fair bit up here as well in the love handles, to the point where this belt doesn't have a whole lot of place it could go. Even if I botched that draw and had to tug up on my gun, it's not going to go too far. So I could totally run it like this, but now I can't really fit my hands inside of my pockets for warmth, and I feel somewhat restricted. I know that I could just, pop it off and have it off really quickly, but again, I don't see a whole lot of advantages for this compared to just having it in my belt loops and setting it up correctly. Again, this could all just be my opinion. Maybe I need to try an outer belt system. Maybe I need to get one and set it up for me specifically, and it would work out. But I like this, and why fix something if it's not broken? Some belts that I am willing to try in the future, I have a lot of buddies who really like the Core Essentials belt, and it seems like those have really, really good on-the-fly adjustability. So I have a buddy who says when he sits down, he can just let it out with a couple clicks, and then when he stands back up, he just cinches it back up with a couple clicks. And that is a really appealing idea to me. Not that it's the most important thing. I don't feel like when I sit down, I pooch out enough that I need something like that. But it sounds like a really cool belt system to try out, and a lot of people really enjoy it. One last thing I want to show you with this guy is I want to hold it up and give it the old holding rigidity test. So if I hold it from the back here, even with my gun on it, there's no sagging. This thing is straight up and down. Look how fantastic that rigidity is. In my opinion, that is a sign of good, solid belt quality and good, solid belt build as well. Guys, if you liked this video, I would appreciate it if you'd go down and like and subscribe. If you really like this channel and you follow it pretty closely, consider heading on over to that Patreon account and giving me a little bit of support. The link will be down in the description. I am so grateful for all of you who come to this channel, who watch my videos, who have already subscribed, and maybe are going to subscribe after this video. You guys are awesome, and as always, I will catch you later.